Good morning, everybody. So today I wanted to continue for just a few minutes on the subject of purchasing domain names. Um, and you can use this for your free account if you wish with Infinity. What is it? Freeinfinity.net, whatever. And then also, if you want to use the forwarding feature, so that would require that you purchase your own domain name. So what I've done for all of you is that I've logged into my GoDaddy account. And this is where you can start with a domain name search. So for example, if we wanted to create a custom, a free website using Infinity right now, but hold on one second. Yeah, okay. Yeah, infinityfree.net. So we have our infinityfree.net account and website, but the URL that they give us doesn't kind of roll off your tongue. So let's say we wanted to create something a bit more personal, and but we wanted to kind of go on the cheap for the time being until we were sure that that was the website that we wanted to permanently host. So if you can see here that we have a lot more than just .com these days, and .net and .org and .gov and on and on and on. You can see that we have .gay, .cloud, .me, .shop, .biz, .store, a whole bunch of them. And some of them are free. Most people are still familiar or most commonly use .com. So let's start with that. Let's say we were going to create a domain name using the .com. You can see with GoDaddy right now it's $12 a year, so that's $1 a month. That's not too bad. Some of them are much more expensive, some considerably less expensive. But again, it has to do with how familiar people are going to be with your website and to know to add that extension to it. So I'm going to go with the .com. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is check availability. Okay, so if I click on that, then what you do is it's going to do a quick search. And the first one that I put in there was Art196 to see if there was some sort of, somebody already had it. And art196.com is already taken. So what if I were to put in here art196 intro to computer graphics and do a search on that. So it looks like that one's available. So then I can buy it. So that's the first thing that you have to do is buy the domain name. Okie doke. And then once you have the domain name, then what you're going to do is that we're going to go here in GoDaddy, and you can go to your domains folder and domain help. Now, these are all the domains that I have. So let's say, for example, because I don't have, GoDaddy is not hosting my K-Miller Online account. It's just, I purchased that domain name, but it's not being used for anything right now. But I wanted to use the forwarding feature so that when someone put in kmilleronline.com, it would go to my Infinity free account. So then what I would do is I would click right here on this little button here, and I want to manage the DNS. How do I know that? Because I had to grope around to find it. And then you can see here, we have all the C names here and all that. And we scroll all the way down. And then what we can do here is forwarding. And that's what I want to change. You can see right now it's forwarded to kmart66.com. So if I click on the little icon here, and I can go ahead and I can use forwarding, make it permanent, or I can change the settings to forward only or forward with masking. It's up to you. And then the next step would be to right here to take that infinity free.net URL that you have and paste it in there. And then you go ahead and save it, and then you'll have to wait a few minutes. And then when you put in your URL that you've the domain name that you've just purchased, it should automatically forward you to the infinity free .net account. Okay. So for example, I've used the forwarding feature for Kmiller Online to go to my kmart66.com account. So I'll go ahead and I'll save it. Let's go ahead and try masking just for the heck of it. Well, let's don't. Anyway, if you do want to use masking, what it should do is prevent users from seeing most of the code on your web page. So that if you're concerned about people stealing your code or information from your website, then you would want to use forward with masking. So again, if I put that back in here, masking information, I could put in the title, I can put in description, keywords. So before I actually, added that, I would probably want to do that. So, but I could go ahead and it's not going to allow me to save that or until I put the title, description, and keywords in there. So I'm not going to do that today, but that's something that you could do. So I'll just use the forwarding only, which is what I've used in the past, and click save. Okay. Now we can go over here and I'll just put in kmilleronline.com. And hit return. And you can see where it takes me, to kmart66.com. So that's what's gonna happen is that instead of seeing once it actually forwards it, instead of seeing the name that you added for forwarding, it's gonna show you the infinity one here. But what the masking does is that if you wanted to have somebody show the code or view the code source, it would prevent them from doing that if you wanted to use the masking. So let's see if we have a question on the chat feature here. Nelson. Okay, Nelson. Just let you know what you're here. Okay. So that's on masking, but now you also have something from Wix. So what I have from Wix, and I don't know if you have to purchase the additional information or not, but from my Wix account right here, let's go back to Wix right here. There we go. So it says connect a domain you already own. Okay. So you can either, buy your domain name from Wix, that's possible, or I can transfer your domain, something that you've already registered. That's something that you can do as well. So if I click on this one here, it says transfer domain registration. So that's what I want to do. If I had gone to my Wix website, let me go back here again. I want to make sure that I'm on the correct one here. Make sure that I do that. I was on the wrong one. Let's go back to Wix. So I'm going to do that. Now, I don't want to buy a new domain name. I want to connect to a domain I already own. Now, where was that found? Let me go back again. Let's go back here. Here's my site. I want to go to site actions here. Okay, so this is, I've already logged into my Wix account. And at the top here, I can either, I can start by editing my website, or I can, do whatever I want to it. But if I go to site actions here, what I want to do is you can either move everything to the trash, you can edit the site. That would be something that I could do. I could transfer it to a new location. What I want to do though is I don't want to rename it. Oh shoot, I just had this. Let me see. So let me go back. Let me go to my edit and see if it was there. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the edit site. And that may have been where the properties were. Sometimes you just have to grope your way around these things. As much as I feel I know this stuff, sometimes I just don't. So let's go to settings. That would be a good place to go. And how about the site in general? Duplicate site, move site, trash, publish. Tools, settings. It's got to be here, and I'm just not seeing it. I know that I found it before, so you're going to have to do some of your own groping to find this. Come on. I don't want to transfer. Well, let's try transfer the site. No, I don't want to, but I don't want to transfer it. Yeah. So let's go back to site actions here. So yeah, I'm having trouble finding it from here. So what I had done previously, though, from my Wix website, let's see if I can't find it again. I had these already set up so that I wouldn't have this problem, and having the problem anyway. Let's go to settings here. My apologies. And I'm probably staring right at it, and just because of my poor eyesight and age, I'm not seeing it. But again, we want to use the not the transfer feature.
I think it's under connect domain.
It's under domains here.
No, connect. When you go to your website, there's your
If I
picture
go to the website itself
to
edit the website, or go to the website. If I go back here, I'm editing my website.
on the previous page, the one that has all your site settings.
Okay, so let me go back here.
Okay. Right underneath the photo, it says connect domain. Look at the photo itself, and directly underneath the photo, that you see where it says my site. You know, you have the thing that says my site over to the right, and,
Yeah.
and below
Site.
that and to the left, connect domain.
There we go. Okay, so it says that I'm not connected. So there we go. So if I click here, and again, if you've already purchased from Wix, it won't be an issue. That's where it is. Thank you so much. Told you it's there. You just have to hunt and peck and have somebody like Dan available to point you in the right direction. So either you want to buy a new domain name from Wix. I already have one from GoDaddy, but instead, if it says you want to connect to a domain you already own, then you click there. No, I don't want to select the plan. I want to transfer your domain. Okay. And then you can begin the transfer process. So you want to enter the domain name that you want here. And where did you purchase it? Like I have mine from GoDaddy. So let's say it was going to be, let's say I was going to use kmilleronline.com. Okay. And then you would continue. And it does walk you through. But then what you have to do, in order to do that, it's going to step you through here. You have to go to your GoDaddy account and you have to unlock kmilleronline from GoDaddy. So now I would have to go back to GoDaddy and unlock it, and then I would have to add an authorization code and then continue. And then before you know it, you've done pretty much the same thing as what I just did at GoDaddy. You're using the forwarding feature. Okay. So I don't know if that helps you guys. What I have used all these years is the GoDaddy feature. That's what I'm most familiar with. I'm not familiar, you can tell, with the Wix feature, but it will probably work too. Dan, that's what you've used, right?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
I did was originally that was registered under GoDaddy, and then I transferred it over to Wix.
Okay. So do you pay Wix now, or do you still use their free account?
No, I use their paid, because I used to use the free one, but
Okay.
because of stuff that I do, I decided to make it official.
Right. That's what I decided a while back, and I decided to stick with GoDaddy. So it's up to you guys. Wix is a pretty popular host as well. So whatever works for you guys. So if you do choose to use Wix or GoDaddy or some other service to host your website, it's probably around $10 a month. If you choose to use the free service, hosting service, and then just use the forwarding feature, it will, to the cost of a domain is about $1 a month. So it's about $12 a year, maybe a little bit more. And I would purchase it for 2 or 3 year increments, because that year goes by very quickly and you don't want to lose your domain to somebody else. Okay. Does that help everybody? I hope. Question. No, these are not one. The question that I have from Carlos, are these one-time purchases or are they a subscription? It is not a one-time purpose, no, a purchase. It's something that you have to renew. So, when you purchase the domain for $12, that is for a year, and that's it. And you have to renew it every year. Or you can purchase it for multiple years, and you can obviously set to auto renew, or it will, warn you when the time comes that your subscription, or if you want to call it that, is about ready to expire. Do you want to continue or not? Some people decide that they want to eliminate their websites altogether, and I've just held on to most of my stuff for many, many years and continue to renew. So that's how that works. And later on, if you have a popular domain name, you can always sell it. You can buy domain names too, but they can get quite expensive. So it's up to you. You don't have to do any of those for this class, but It's just I thought it would be something that you guys would want to know and to be aware of, so that if you do choose to continue with the free service with free Infinity, and then to publish your MobiRise and or your Dreamweaver website, and then you want to keep it permanently up and use your own domain name, then that would be a way to do it on the cheap. But eventually, if you get, to working with it, on a regular basis, and you want to make it kind of official, then you probably will use Wix or GoDaddy or Infinity or one of those companies to permanently host, and you're going to wind up paying $10, $12 a month. And that's going to be ongoing as long as you have a website. There's no way around that. Okay. So the next thing, we're going to work on, start lesson 9 today. And there's just a couple of them that I want to work on. I want to work on green news and green tips. Okay. But there's much more to this. Okay. And green tips, the main feature in that we're going to use unordered lists. And in here for green news, we're going to put much of the main content into what are called sections, which will enable us to take this H2 tag and to customize it so that it looks decidedly different than what we would see up here, because this is an H2 tag as well. I believe, if I remember correctly, and this one is an H1, okay? And then we have all of these broken down into paragraphs, and we also have margins set up, as well as padding and all that good stuff specific to what we have in here. And I believe there's a little bit of setup that goes in the paragraphs to the right side. I think we leave all of the quotes alone here. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do any of that, a reminder to all of you that I'm going to come up here, and I've already done this, but you need to go to site and make sure that you go to manage site, and that you need to have your site visible here. These are all the sites that I have. So here's the one for Art 196 that I created, fall 2020. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit it. So I double click on it, and I'm going to change the root folder, which I've already done, to lesson 9. Okay, so you go into your folder with all the lessons, select lesson 9. Let's do it by date modified. Let's just do it by name. There we go. Find it in order. So I want to make sure that lesson 9 is selected as my root folder. Okay, then under advanced settings, for the default image folder, we're going to click inside that and make sure that it is selected inside lesson 9. Okay, if you don't do that, things are going to get really mucked up for this lesson. Really, really mucked up. Okay, so I choose that, and then I can click OK, and I can click Done. And how you will know whether or not that is working is that when you go over to the Files tab, we'll have CSS. This is the Bootstrap that you don't edit. Here are some finished files that I already have open that you can take a look at and make sure that they are working correctly. And then here's the fonts folder. Here's the green styles that we are working on. Here is the image for all the images that are that we will be using for this lesson. JavaScript, and here are some resources. And most of these are rich text formats and quotes that we'll be using for our sidebars and main content. And that's what we're going to start with. And then we already have our template that's set up. So the first thing that you want to do, and I'll go ahead and I'll close this untitled one and open it up again, is that since we spent lesson 8 in creating a creating a template that we're going to build our next series of pages off of that the template that we created. Wait a minute, I have a question here. Where do you find the lesson files again? I put them, no, they're not on Canvas, Nelson. They're on Google Drive, the shared Google Drive. I put them all there. Okay. So just download the whole folder if you haven't done so already. Got that? Or if you do have the textbook, you can always download all the files directly from Peach Pit Press or whatever it's called now. You just have to look inside there and download all the files from them. Okay, so that's really critical. It's really important to get this lesson working. So what we can take a look at, we can go ahead and we can, shrink this down to see how this is working for a small. You can see that it all works really nicely. It goes in the order that it's supposed to. And it shrinks down the way it's supposed to. So right now, this is what we had created from before. Okay, so even when you go to a really teeny tiny page, and if I go even smaller, let's see how that works. Yeah, see how everything is centered now? So all of the styles that we had created in lesson 7 are already working for this. And that would be true for the other file as well. The new, that was for news finished. If we look at green tips and we scroll down here. Again, if you go all the way down to a really small, the smallest smartphone, you can see how it fits quite nicely. So we may have to do some additional media queries in here. I don't remember. But for right now, we just want to begin to add content. So we'll start with green news. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on first. Then we'll work on green tips. So I'm going to go to File, New. Okay, after I've already set up my root folder, and I want to create it from the template. Okay, so if we go to Site Templates, you can see that we have my green template, and I'll create. Boom. Okay. So we're set to go. We're ready. And remember, you can't edit up here in the header. You can't edit in the nav bar. You can't edit in the footer. All of those are grayed out because they are locked regions from the, in the original template. But we can, edit in the left and the right side and the main content. That's where we're going to start. So the first thing that they want us to do is you just double click and highlight in here. Okay, and instead of add content here, we're going to put green news. Come on. You can also do this from code view if you want. Okay, and then under the subheading, again, when they're really short amounts of text, you can go ahead and you can just change it here. So the next thing that they want in here is, I don't know what we want here. It says, what is it? I don't know. I'm gonna undo that and leave that for the time being. It's not that important or that critical at the moment. You just copy and put it in. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to insert text. And this is probably where I got goofed up before. I forget sometimes what I'm doing. But if we go to our resource tab, so I'm going to do it incorrectly and then do it right first. So we have the rich text format for green news. And if I double click on that, we open that up. And I have, select all and I copy. And if I come back in here, and if it is highlighted in orange and I paste, notice it just comes in as one big block of text. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I want it left so that it is, in fact, broken down into the different paragraph tags that were put into the rich text format. So I click back on that little blue tab and now I paste. Come on. Let's click back here again and paste. And notice that it inserts it with all of the correct paragraph breaks. So the next thing that we need to do, though, is to add some correct syntax into all of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add something new that we haven't used yet, which are called section tags. And it's a way of, again, subdividing or being more specific with the regions that we want to style. Their section tags are used all the time. So what I can do is I can highlight everything in this group right here. And then what I can do is I can hit Command T. And what I want to do is I want to wrap a tag around that, and I'm going to put it section. And I want to do that I'm going to hit the return key twice. Now, you don't see that here, but if you look at the inside here and you look at the code view itself, notice that it added this section tag wrapped around all of these paragraphs. So that means that I can isolate this particular group of paragraphs and heading and specify styling to that and that alone. So we're going to do that for the other paragraphs as well, and then we're going to start styling it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap it in. If I can select that, there we go. So I'm going to highlight all of that. And why is my computer so sluggish? I'm having, you know what? Here's the way that I do it, since I'm having trouble highlighting. So where it says shopping, green starts green safety. So that's going to be in a new section tag. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put an opening tag here for section. So it's going to be left bracket section. So there's the opening tag. Then I need to scroll in my code view and go to the end here. And let's see, we want, if I can find the end of that. Where's the end of it? Well, maybe I do want to do that. So let's do that again. Let me undo what I just did. There we go. So for whatever reason, and sometimes it's difficult to highlight what you want. And see how it's just jumping on me here? So I don't want recycling isn't always green. I need to come up a little bit. But just bouncing around on me, I don't get it. It worked so well the first go around here. So where's the end of this? Let's start here and see if I can't do it that one. Recycling isn't always green. So we want to start with this. And I want to go all the way up to here. There we go. Let's do that. And then again, hit Command T. Come on. Command T. And that isn't working for me either. So maybe I do need to go back. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back again. And I'm just going to put in my opening tag. And I got to make sure that I spell it correct. Okay. So I believe it goes right after. If it doesn't, recycling isn't always green, but I think that's saving an item. I think this is where it goes. So I'll put my closing tag here. And there we go. Another section is done. And I'm just going to do this by hand again. So opening tag section. And then we need to find closing tag. And I think it's all the way at the end here. I think we have 3 sections here. If I don't, then I just copy and paste and put it in the right. So I have 3 groups here. Now the next thing that we want to do is where it says, you know, we have green buildings earn more green. Okay, we can change this, okay, to from P tag. So if I hit Command T, I want to edit the tag, and I'm going to put, instead of a P tag, it's going to be an H2 tag. Okay, so H2. There we go. And then I want to scroll down to the next one. Shopping saves energy. And again, that's a P tag. So with that, I'll hit Command T. And I'm going to change that to, again, an H2 tag. Okay. And notice that there'll be a size change. And there's also a color change that we're going to make. So again, with that selected, Command T and H2. And I think we have one more. And I think it's fireplace, fun, or folly. So I don't know whether it is or it isn't, but you get the idea. I think that's where I put it in there. And again, this will be an H2 tag. Just have to be familiar with your I don't know if it's in the right location or not. So recycling isn't always green. That was right. And how about we have recycling. So that's the end of recycling in fireplace. You know what? I'm just going to do a couple of them. Let me take this one away. Let's change this back to, actually, it would be helpful if I just looked at the finished one here. So green buildings earn more green. Okay, so let's go back here for my start file here and see if that's what we have. Yeah, that's correct for that one. So let's go back again. The next one, shopping saves green energy. So we have shopping saves green energy. That's correct. We're going to go back here. And then what do we have after that? Recycling isn't always green. So I was correct on that. Recycling isn't always green. And then we have the last one. fireplace, fun or volume. So I do have them correct. Okay, so now we're ready to style. Okie doke. Oh, sorry. What a pain. Okay. So now that we have them all placed in here and ready to go, we can start to style it. So now that I've added my tags, we can start to come in here, and I'm going to switch and I'm going to resize this a little bit so that I can see my styles, my CSS Designer. Okay, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go, so we can see everything there. So under green styles, what we're going to do now is we're going to add for our section tags. Okay, that was the first thing we needed to change. So make sure that green styles is selected here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new selector. And this one is going to be section H2. So anything inside a section tag with an H2, tag inside a section will have this particular styling. So under margins, we'll start with that. We want the top to be 15 pixels. Okay, and the bottom is going to be 5 pixels. Okay, and already that's changing it a bit. We're going to change under type. We're going to change the color. And we're going to go to the green. So I believe it's the 090, and that's what we want. And that changes that. That's a good sign. The font size, we're going to change to 170%. So it actually reduces it from the default size a little bit. So we'll switch to percentage. And that's also a good sign when it disappears. That lets me know that it is styling what I want here. So there we go, 170%. And then the font weight, we're going to go to bold. So under font weight, we want to go to bold. So we've styled it. There we go. So any H2 tag inside a section will automatically be styled. And notice how all of them now are properly styled. And that's where we want to go. So let's go ahead and change some other structures here. And I believe we're going to go to quotes. And quotes are already done for us. So what we need to do is we need to go back to, because we don't want to change the styling for that. But if we go to quotes, okay, this is for 9. I'm going to double click. And this is the text. Here we have for tips and for news, okay. Here are the quotes from Muir, and we can do this individually. I'll go ahead and I'll copy all of these here. So I'll copy all of these like so, highlight them. I'm going to do a copy. I guess it would probably be easier if I did them individually. So if I take all of this one just for John Muir, and I copied it, and then I went back to my Untitled page here, and let's look at the code for the quotation here. So inside the block quote, if I go ahead and I copy all of the text in here inside my code view, and I paste it inside there. Now it's just one big block here. But if I take and I change to the beginning of it to a paragraph tag, so if I hit the P tag here, and then at the very end of that quote, let's go ahead here So that's going to be the end of my paragraph tag. Whoops, make sure that that's end quote. And then for John Muir, this is going to be, because it's a cite tag for him. So we go ahead and we just put in cite, C-I-T-E, whoop, not cute, C-I-T-E, and brackets. And then at the end, oh, come on, brackets. And then at the end of that him, go ahead and put the, this should be styled correctly, and it is. So if I wanted to, I could copy this whole thing, or I could go back to my quotes again, and I could copy all of this in there and have to break it down one by one. So that's what we're going to do for that. So I'll go ahead again, and I'm just going to take, I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to copy the whole block quote. Okay. Because it might be easier. Sometimes it's easier if you copy everything in here. Okay. So if I take the whole block quote and I copy it, and then I come down here and I paste it, and then I substitute the other text that I want to put in there. So I've just duplicated what I have. But now if I go back to quotes and I take, okay, I'm going to take the next quote from Sidney Sheldon, and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to my piece here. And again, I'm doing all of this from code view. So if I come back and within the paragraph tag, if I go ahead and where I have this quote here and I paste it. So now I have that. And if I want, I could type in Sidney Sheldon. It might be actually even easier if I can spell it correctly. Okay. So we're just adding content now, and we could go ahead and add the third one here. So we can probably add one more feature over here, and we're gonna, I'll leave you guys to do the third quote. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add to green news on the right page. So this is sidebar 2 over here. Okay, so here's some text. And again, when I scroll up for that, we want the news, and I'm going to highlight all of the text that I have here. And I'm going to copy it. And it has the paragraph breaks. And I come back over here and I click in here. Now that's the sidebar heading. And if I click there, I can go ahead and I can paste. And I should have everything in there in the correct breaks. And I don't know that I have that correct or not. Let's go to green news. And that looks about right. Okay. So let me go back again to my untitled page. And what I want here is that I can remove some of these paragraphs that where it says add sidebar content here, I can remove that. And where it says high-speed rail, that goes up here. That's going to be in my heading. So I'm going to just copy this, or I can remove this one for my H2 tag, and I can remove that, and I can come back here. So let's go and remove the H2 tag for that. And then instead of the P tag, I'll make this an H2 tag for that. Okay, so I'm just fiddling with the code here a little bit. And there we have that. So the rest of this should be in pretty good working order. Okie doke. So we have our green news done, and I need to, by hand, put in the quote, or not the quote, but the subheading here. And that will be done. whatever subheading that is supposed to be. So actually, I'm going to come back here, and since I don't type very well, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go back to my Untitled page, and what we have here, I'm going to go ahead and paste. Okay. Now they want this to change this from an H2 to a paragraph tag. So I can either do that from here. I can hit Command T, and I can edit that and just change it to a paragraph tag and hit it twice. And that should change it. Come on. Let's just hit that, Command T. And, oh, in the paragraph. There we go. Now we're all set. Now, the last thing to do with this before we end today is save as, and just save it as greennews.html. And remember, when you're saving file names, I like the camel casing, so that's how I'm going to save mine. If you want, you can just put it together, you know, as one, or you can do green news and you can use an underscore like so, green news, and save it. Either way will work. And notice that it should automatically save it inside your root folder. Okay, so we have ours, we have our new styling done, and we're pretty much set to go. So now we're ready to start. We won't be able to finish it today, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to create lists. So that's what we're doing here for tips. And what we're doing here is creating unordered lists. Okay. That's the main function of this group here. And again, these will be inside section tags in order to make sure that the H2 tag is as we styled it already in the first part of the lesson. So what I'm going to do again is with this last one selected, I'll hit File New. Then we'll go ahead and again create a new page from the template. It might not be a bad idea to save it again and name it as Green Tips. I have a question here from Carlos. It says, for some unknown reason, your quick tag editor won't show up. Any ideas? We're still on the first news story. The quick tag editor, you mean the editor down below? Is that what you mean? Down here? This here, the tag editor down here. See where I'm pointing my mouse? This is the quick tag editor down here. Is that what you mean? Oh, no, okay, for that, for a quick tag editor, okay, this is what you do. So if you want, for the quick tag editor, for example, if I wanted to change this from an H1 to an H2 tag, okay, or let's change this one from an H2 to a P tag, you make sure that I don't want it highlighted in orange. I want to just click on that blue tag until the whole box is highlighted in blue. And I forget that myself sometimes. And now if you're on a PC, it would be Control T, and on a Mac, it's Command T. And that's where the quick tag editor pops up. Does that work for you now? It gets tricky sometimes. And, you know, hey, I've already goofed enough this morning with the Wix thing. So does that answer your question though? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop in some No, don't do it that way. Don't highlight the text. No. I've tried that myself and it goofs me up. So I think that, I don't know if that's a typo in the book or maybe things have changed from version 17 to 20. I don't know, but don't do it the way the book does it. Just do it the way that I do it and then highlight the text either from the code view or from the live view and then delete it or edit it as needed. But for example, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, and again, this is where I get goofed up myself, where it says add content here. And again, if I go back to, I don't want quotes. Let's go back to resources again. And I want, I want green tips. Okay, so this is where, let's close news. I want all this in here. And this has paragraph breaks in here. And that's important. I want to keep the paragraph breaks because you can always add them, but it just takes time. So if I select all and I copy it, okay, and I move that over here, and I click back in here, and notice when the box is highlighted in orange, if I hit paste, it removes all of those breaks because it puts it in a paragraph tag. I don't want to do that. And I forget that all the time. I have to go back and click on there so that that box is highlighted in blue. And now when I paste, notice that it keeps all of those. It keeps all the paragraph breaks. That's what I want. And now what I need to do is I need to take, for example, this one, and I'm going to change this paragraph where it says at home, and I'm going to change that to an H2 tag. So this is the quick tag editor. That's what you're talking about. So as long as that paragraph tag or paragraph is highlighted with an orange box, it won't work. If I click on the blue box at the top, and now it's highlighted in blue, now if I hit Command T, and I change that to an H2 tag, okay, now that works. And if you're wondering why that's not highlighted and that doesn't change to blue, it's because I haven't added my section tags yet. So now what I need to do, I'll probably do that for each of these, and hopefully I can highlight these the way I want to. And it's causing me fits again. So I might just do that from, it just, you know, now my screen is locking up. And I don't know why. There we go. So I'm just going to do it from code view. Okay. So I have, but what I should probably do first is where I have, it will help me if I do change here. I have at home, and then I need to find the next group here. You know, it's doing some hunting and pecking, and my eyesight isn't so good. So at home, install proper insulation, use glass, make cold dinners. At work, there we go. So I'm going to change this one to an H2 tag too. So we'll change that to an H2. It'll just help me find that a little bit better in the code because I'm going to have to wrap each of these groups into, and then I have in the community. So that will be another one. And T, H2. I need to, yeah, wrap each of these groups in a, there we go. So I'm just going to scroll back up here and I'm going to look mostly in code view here. And it will be easier for me if I do it this way. Okay, so right in front of the at home, okay, I'm going to put a section tag. Okay, that's the opening tag. Normally, if you can highlight the whole thing and wrap it with a tag, it goes much quicker. And probably because I have other apps going in the background and that sort of thing, everything is a little bit sluggish. And now I want to scroll down until I find the next one. And I didn't want that. So I don't know. Oh, there's the H2. So where's my next H2? There we go. So now I want to, after that last paragraph where we have at work, I want to put the closing tag for that. And then after that, I'm going to put another opening tag for a section. Okay, then I'm going to scroll down and find the next H2 tag. There we go. And I'm going to put the closing tag for that. So sometimes for me, it's just easier to work in code view when it's difficult to select from live view. And I have no explanation for why it's sometimes difficult. And before the end of the article tag, I'm going to have my closing tag. Whoops. There we go. And now notice that as I've changed that, okay, and I put each of those groups in sections, notice that the H2 tags now are edited the way we want them. And now the next step is to turn all of these paragraphs. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all of them like so. And while all of them are highlighted, I'm going to come down here to the bottom. And if you don't have your properties panel visible, go up to Window and say Show Properties. So properties should be here. There we go. And then you'll notice a little button right here that says Unordered List. And I click there and notice that it changes it. So now it adds the bullet points and it makes it quite concise and much easier to read. Notice that the difference between at home and at work, that by using an unordered list, it makes it so much easier to read when you have it broken down into bullet points. And that's used pretty often for the web. It just, instead of writing, large essays that are difficult to read, everything is broken down into bite-sized chunks. So I'll do the same for the others as well. So I'm going to come back up here and we're going to do that for at work. And then we're going to call it quits for today. So let me scroll back up. Let me do at work one more time. And then you guys can maybe not see when I start trying to select this other, just let me scroll up here. There we go. Oh, it's causing me fits. So I'm going to leave it for today since we've run to the end of our hour anyway. And you finish that up, because why it's causing me fits to select, I don't know why. Yeah, see, I don't want to select all of that. I don't, it's causing me fits here. So maybe I could, an easier way to select that. You know what, when I'm talking here to you guys, sometimes it's not clear to me what I'm doing. And when I come back and I go, why didn't I select that? So if I click somewhere inside there and at the bottom, if I use the tag selector and I select the whole section, now that selection, that's selected. Well, I didn't want all of that. I don't want all of that section. So let me see if I can't highlight in here. There we go. But for some reason, it just stopping at that point. So as soon as I log off and maybe close some other apps on my computer, it will free me up. But that's the next part. So we'll finish this up on Thursday, and we're going to move on. There's much more to lesson 9. So I don't know that we will finish it this week, but we'll see how far we can get. Okay. Okie doke. So I'm done today. Yeah. Why it's locking up the screen, I don't know. And when it does that for me, I just get frustrated, and I go into code view and add the things that I need to add. So, you know, if I wanted to, I could always come in here, you know, in code view, and I could, let's see what we have here. See how all of these are changed to list items up here in unordered list. So what I could do down here is I could put an, you know, put an unordered list here. So if I put UL and then I close, you know, put after, you know, but before the end of the section, and I put here, I put a closing tag for unordered list. Okay, it's still not going to work, but each one of these would have to be changed to oh, come on. Let me come back. Did I just delete all of that? I must have. Let me undo that. See, you got to be careful what you're doing sometimes. Yeah, see, I accidentally deleted that. So I got to be careful. Yeah, when the screen locks up like that, that's just kind of a funky aspect to Dreamweaver. I have no explanation for it. And so it makes me look kind of like a fool. But in fact, it's just one of those weird peculiarities with and see, I've even undone home. So let's bring that back. There we go. And try to come up again and highlight it all. Ta-da! Look at that. Now, why it's working, I don't know. Now it works. And notice how it's much more compact. So I don't have an explanation other than Dreamweaver has its quirks. And that has been the case forever. So that's pretty much it for today, folks. So, you know what, before you guys go though, I'm gonna stop recording, but before you go, I'm gonna go ahead and wait, Dan, you have a question?
Yes. At the top where it says code, split, and live, if you change the live view to design view, does your, like if you scroll up all the way to the top, oh yeah, see where it says sidebar 2?
Yeah, it does that.
It
That's
does that?
normal.
Okay.
Don't ask me. No explanation.
Okay.
And why
Okay.
they
I'm just making sure because
and sometimes you have to select that design view and sometimes you don't. So maybe that would be an easier way for me to select, for example, in the community now. So if I selected all of this like so, and it does, now I can select all of that and I can select unordered list. So, you know, why it works well in design view and it doesn't in live view, and other times I don't have an explanation.
Okay. Now just making sure, like maybe I didn't
No, that's all correct.
said something right.
When I try to avoid looking at design view because it screws up the layout and you think you've done something horribly wrong. And it's normal. And I've never read or seen an explanation for, why there's a difference and why they have both, but they do. They always have. And even, with the current iteration of it. And sometimes certain features are available only in design view and not in live view. And you have to, access them through design view. And once you've made the changes, then you go back to live view and then you're good to go. But I mean, just by doing this with you right now, when the screen locks up, then probably what I should have done is switch to design view and highlighted all of those and then added the unordered list there and then switch back. I don't know. It's just kind of quirky. And, I kind of have
just wanted to
brain
make
freeze
sure
while
that
I'm talking to you guys. And it's only afterwards and I stop the recording and I log off that I go, wait a minute, I could have done it this way. So, yeah. So there you have it. For today, anyway. So make sure that you save this page if you're working on it with me. If not, then work on it on your own and try different ways. Sometimes for me, even though the book says to do one thing, I like just doing it in code view and adding my tags and that sort of thing. Because I know exactly where the tags are going, and that too can make a big difference. So I'm going to stop recording and sort of say goodbye, but I'm going to stay here for a minute and I'm not going to log off. I want to take roll real quick. So I'm going to stop recording.